Number 1. In Philippines, world scrambles to deliver the basics as one mother despairs. From CNN, a distraught mother who lost her young sons in the tidal surge of Super Typhoon Haiyan feels her life is over. I guess I'm just thinking to jump from the building, Gallenbell Vergero tells CNN's Carl Penhart on Sunday. This is what would be my life's worth. My sons are dead. I just pray that I also dead with them. What would be my life worth now? She combs the debris, scores the mortgages, and pores over the list of victims found in Tacloban, Philippines. I don't have sons. I don't know if they're dead or where their bodies are. I don't know if dogs in the street are eating their bodies already. Along with nearly 4,000 deaths, about 3 million people have been displaced. Communities have been flattened and looting and violence have erupted. Survivors ask, where was God? The United States and Britain are bolstering their military assets to urgently help millions of hungry and homeless Filipinos, soaked and dead more than a week after the typhoon clobbered the midsection of the Philippines. Right now, the U.S. military capability is continuing to grow. U.S. Marine Brigadier Paul Kennedy told CNN on Sunday, "We need to get life-sustaining aid immediately out to the stricken population. Food, water, shelter, medicine, those are the basics." Kennedy said numerous aircraft, such as a dozen C-130 cargo airplanes, more than a dozen MV-22 Ospreys, and several dozen UH-60 helicopters are being deployed. About 9,000 U.S. troops are supporting the operation in the Philippines. A U.S. military official said U.S. military assets have delivered approximately 623,000 pounds of relief supplies, as the Royal Australian Air Force drops off another load of supplies and humanitarian workers in Tacloban, one of the number of nations helping this devastated country. The piles of aid stack up an airport tarmac. It's chaotic, but every day is improving, going out to affected communities very quickly, said USAID official Ben Hemingway Sunday. Thousands of refugees converged on the Tacloban airport terminal, hoping to jump on the planes as they leave. I don't know what to do now, one mother told CNN. All I can think about is my daughters. I have to save them first. The British ship HMS Darling arrived in Cebu on Sunday to provide medical assistance, emergency supplies, and clean water to stand victims, the UK government said. HMS Darling's arrival is a major boost to DFID's disasters experts and medical teams already deployed in the Philippines. Britain's International Development Secretary Justice Griding said, referring to the Department for International Development, "Baby born in wreckage clings to life. This Royal Navy vessel will help us open a lifeline and allow us to help many more victims of the disaster," she said. The Philippine central government is being criticized for a slow and disorganized response to what all agree is a catastrophic event. The nation's disaster agency said between 9 million and 13 million people were affected in 44 provinces, 536 municipalities, and 55 cities. The United States and Britain are among nations across the globe racing against time to help Philippine authorities in a massive relief effort of delivering food and water to the devastated swaths of the archipelago. When the typhoon hit the central part of the country on November 8, many lost their homes and electric power. As the days went by, thousands were scouring for food, clean water, and medical aid. Nancy Lindborg, an assistant administrator for the U.S. Agencies for International Development, told CNN on Sunday the United States has been focused on getting the logistics up, bringing in food, shelter, and getting the water system back on tap. She cited a bit of progress in helping the infrastructure in Tacloban, a major city that was ground zero for the typhoon strike. Yesterday, we were able to support UNCIEF in bringing the water system back on stream, she said. There are now 150,000 people in Tacloban being served by clean water. Crews continue to collect bodies from streets, with the official death toll raised Sunday to 3,976. Number 2. Teen to be sentenced for killing schoolgirl. A Colorado teenager who killed and dismembered a 10-year-old girl, sending residents in Denver's western suburbs into a panic before he turned himself in, faces a possible life prison term after was expected to be an emotional sentencing hearing beginning Monday. Austin Sieg, 18, pleaded guilty almost a year to the day after the October 5, 2012 disappearance of Jessica Ridgeway in Westminster. The fifth grader was abducted while walking to school, and human remains identified as hers were found 5 days later in the park. Most of her remains were hidden in a crawl space in Sieg's mother's home where he lived. Sieg, who reportedly had a fascination with death and was interested in mortuary science, pleaded guilty to kidnapping, sexually assaulting, and killing the girl. He also acknowledged attacking a 22-year-old jogger at a Westminster park in May 2012. In that case, investigators said he used homemade chloroform to try to subdue the woman, who escaped. Sieg does not face the death penalty because he was 17 and at the time of Jessica's slaying. The girl was a member of a Pee Wee cheerleading squad and was looking forward to being a zombie lifeguard on Halloween. She was working to meet a friend and head to school but never arrived. Hundreds of people in Denver's western suburbs searched for her. Authorities urged residents to watch for any suspicious changes in their neighbors' behavior. Police guarded crosswalks and photographed cars in the area. Parents throughout the region escorted their children to and from school. A resident contacted authorities on October 19, 2012 to alert them to Sieg because he reportedly had a fascination with death. FBI agents took a DNA sample from the teen. Days later, Sieg's mother called 911, saying her son wanted to confess. Investigators said Sieg told them he used his hands to kill the girl before he dismembered her body in a bathtub. Sieg could be eligible for parole after serving 40 years in prison on the first-degree murder charge, but prosecutors want District Judge Stephen Monsignor to impose consecutive sentences on some of The other charges involving Jessica saw Lesigi spends the rest of his life in prison. Number 3. Teenager killed in clash with Junior police. A teenager was killed and 5 other civilians were injured during clashes with Junior police after a opposition journalist claimed he risked being kidnapped by the security forces, a government spokesman said Monday. The incident began Sunday evening after Medias Sidbit, a journalist with the radio station Plain FM, told listeners to rush to the station because it was being raided by security forces. Spokesman Albert Dementech Camera said in a statement. When the crowd began erecting roadblocks in protest, security forces tried to disperse them with their gas. It said witnesses said security forces then used leaf ammunition, killing 15-year-old Abdul Aziz Blade and injuring the others. An Associated Press reporter saw 2 men injured with gunshot wounds at a hospital in the Conakry section of Demerdola, where the radio station is located. Camera's statement did not specify how Blade died. It said 4 security officers were also injured. The statement said Sidbit's claim about an alleged kidnapping was totally unfounded and irresponsible. The government deplores these unfortunate events and presents its most sincere condolences to the family of the victim and to others who suffered physical abuse and property damage, it said. In a separate radio appearance Monday morning, Camera said an investigation had been opened to examine both how Blade died and why Sidbit had called listeners to the scene. Sidbit told a radio program Monday morning that he believed an operation to detain him was underway. Junior Supreme Court on Friday confirmed the ruling party of President Alpha Condé won a divisive legislative election, sparking protests on Saturday that were dispersed by riot police. The September 28 poll was the first time in more than a decade that Juniors voted in a legislative election. Disputes over the election's organization led to deadly demonstrations beforehand, though the vote itself did not spark widespread violence as feared. Number 4. Super Spice Snacks send kids to emergency room. Super Spice chips and snack foods have come under attack as being unhealthy, with certain school districts even going so far as to ban some brands from their schools. But now doctors say there's another reason spicy junk food should be avoided. It can result in a trip to the emergency room. Doctors say they were seeing kids and some adults coming into the ER with gastritis, an inflamed stomach lining, or other stomach ailments after eating bags of spicy snack foods. In Los Angeles, 12-year-old Andrea Medina experienced stomach pain on and off for weeks before seeing a doctor. It's like if you have a bruise or something, it really hurts a lot. It's how Andrea described the pain to ABC station KABC TV in Los Angeles. Andrea told KABC that he probably eats between 20 to 30 bags of spicy chips and snacks a month. The practice among kids and adolescents to not only eat junk food but very spicy junk food worries doctors, who say spicy snack foods can change the pH balance in the stomach, making it painfully acidic. Dr. Martha Rivera, a pediatrician at White Memorial Medical Center in Los Angeles, says she sees between 5 and 6 cases of children with gastritis daily. We have a population who loves to eat the hot spicy, not real foods, and they come in with these real complaints, Rivera told KABC TV. Dr. Robert Glater, an emergency room physician at Lenox Hill Hospital in New York, said he believes that the flavoring coating the chips and snacks is what might be causing the stomach pH to change, rather than just the spiciness of the snacks. For example, he said he has not had a lot of people coming in double over from eating too much spicy salsa. Schools take aim at popular flaming Cheetos. In the past, I had not seen any problems with snack food until spicy flavoring became more popular, said Glater. Glater said it wasn't just the high fat or high salt content that the kids or adolescents craved, but the actual burn of the spicy flavoring. It's almost like a food addiction. They seek out the burn, said Glater. It's a little thrill-seeking. It's like how much can I tolerate? And I've seen a number of children who eat 4 or 5 bags and come in screaming in pain. Some spicy snacks such as flaming hot Cheetos have come under fire for their low nutritional value, and multiple school districts have banned the sale of the snack on school grounds. Regarding the bans by school districts, Frito-Lay, which makes and sells the flaming hot Cheetos, said it is committed to responsible and ethical practices, which includes not marketing our products to children aged 12 and under. The company did not immediately respond to ABC's news request for further comment regarding the spicy flavoring contributing to stomach distress. Glater recommends that parents keep an eye on their children so they don't overdose on spicy snacks and stick to vegetables and other healthy snacks instead. Parents should be aware of this. These products are not healthy and some children seem to become addicted, said Glater. Number 5. Counting calories. Check the stairway. To fight the war on purge, the United Kingdom is begging an initiative to label staircases with calorie counts to encourage people to become more active. The new program, backed by the UK's Department of Health and London Mayor Boris Johnson, was developed by Steph Jockey and includes an app and website that calculates how many calories are burnt by taking the stairs. Over the course of a day, people can scan smart signs posted at each staircase to keep track of how many calories they are burning. If a staircase hasn't been labeled yet, Steph Jockey gives climbers the opportunity to rate the stairway by providing enough information that the website can calculate how many calories would be burned by climbing it. The details can be printed on a poster and mounted on a wall. Anything that gets people more active and helps tackle obesity is a good thing in my book, said Johnson in a statement. This initiative is a great mix of old-fashioned common sense and smart technology. How accurate are calorie counts? Even before the official launch on Thursday, at least 200 buildings in the UK have already had their stairways rated through the StepJockey website, and the County of Hertfordshire has already put up the smart posters in many of its municipal buildings. But the effectiveness of calorie labels has recently come into question. In the United States, food labels listing calories have proliferated in restaurants and fast food chains, but studies find calorie count don't necessarily lead to healthier meal orders. A study earlier this year by Carnegie Mellon University found that calorie labels at fast food restaurants didn't measurably sway customers toward lower calorie choices. And a 2011 study found that calorie labels didn't convince children to make healthier choices at fast food restaurants. StepJockey said in a statement that during a 6-week test run that measured 250,000 stair climbs, it found a 29% increase in stair traffic in buildings that had the posters. The 815-calorie school lunch showdown. Polly DeMille, a registered clinical exercise physiologist and supervisor at sports performance at the Hospital of Special Surgery in New York, said there is a chance the science could discourage people when they see how few calories they burn by climbing a few flights of stairs. One flight of stairs is not a lot of calories. You wonder if someone is seeing that and thinking, why bother? It's not even a stick of celery, said DeMille. Instead of simply listing the numbers for calorie counts, DeMille said the StepJockey poster might be more persuasive if they describe the other health benefits of taking stairs, such as how stairs can contribute to muscle strength. There are things that might appeal to people beyond the measly number of calories, said DeMille. I try to take the stairs whenever I can, but it's more knowing it's good for my legs and gets my blood circulating. It makes me better at what I do. Number 6. Relaxing gadget rules on European flights. Frequent flyers rejoice. It's not just the US relaxing rules for using electronic gadgets while in flight. The top of aviation regular in Europe said Wednesday that it plans to soon allow airline passengers in Europe to use their smartphones, tablets, and e-books during takeoff and landing. Related, Airbus calls for wider seats on longer flights. The European Aviation Safety Agency plans to publish guidelines by the end of the month that will outline exactly how the gadgets can be used, provided they are set to fly mode. Bulky electronics such as laptops will still need to be stored away during taxiing, takeoff, and landing. This is a major step in the process of expanding the freedom to use personal electronic devices on board aircraft without compromise in safety, said Patrick Kay, the executive director of the EASA. Related, U.S. Air Force and American Airlines reached deal with Justice Department. The agency also said that it's considering allowing passengers to use their mobile phones to make calls during flights, but this would be a longer-term goal. The news comes 2 weeks after the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration announced that airline passengers in the United States would be permitted to use gadgets throughout their flights. The one notable exception, cell phones for voice communication, that remains banned on all U.S. flights. The FAA said implementation times would vary, but it expected all planes will allow passengers to use their device non-stop by the end of the year, provided they are turned to flight mode. Number 7. Midwest tornadoes. Winds slam towns and trucks. 6 killed in Illinois. Michelle Kramer was out of town when a tornado tore through her neighborhood. She returned to Washington, Illinois, to find pieces of her life strewn about where her house once stood. A lot of people have a pile of rubble still, she said, and I don't have anything. It's gone. I don't know where it went. Nearby, rescuers with flashlights trudged through the neighborhood in the dark of night, searching for signs of life in the wreckage. As a severe weather system slammed the Midwest on Sunday, spawning dozens of tornadoes, flash floods, and hail, this town of 10,000 people was among the hardest hit. A neighborhood was flattened, at least one person died, and dozens in the area were injured. Across the state, officials say 6 people were killed in storms. In 2 communities, storms destroyed at least 70 homes, according to Jonathan Moken, director of the Illinois Emergency Management Agency. Rescue were trying to reach people trapped in their basements, he said. One hospital in Peoria was treating 37 patients with injuries. The outbreak also forced fans to evacuate the stands for nearly 2 hours during an NFL game in Chicago. It was complete destruction, said Anthony Gowrie, who lives in Washington. There are people in the streets crying. As a tornado neared his home, Gowrie prayed and recorded a video of the dog Twister charging toward him. The tornado happened in my backyard, and you can hear people scream, he told CNN. I report, we were freaking out. While his house survived the storm, Corey said others in the neighborhood were not as lucky. Video from CNN flagged WNBD show one Washington neighborhood where a tornado smashed cars and houses, littering the ground with broken wood beams and fleeting furniture and debris onto lawns, sidewalks, and streets. I grabbed my daughter and ran. One storm survivor told WNBD. In nearby Peoria, Mayor Jim Arides said his city was planning to send aid to help storm recovery in Washington, where a tornado hit what he described as a very densely populated area. It's just absolutely unbelievable, he said. Jack Lance, who lives in Peking, said he saw a lot of wreckage in his town. We saw trees down, houses with their roofs completely torn off. I saw a lot of people in distress with their homes destroyed. He said it wasn't a pretty sight. Officials delayed the NFL game between the Chicago Bears and Baltimore Ravens. For nearly 2 hours, a storm approached Chicago, warning spectators to leave the stands at Soldier Field and head for covered areas. The rain started coming, the skies got black. The wind was insane, and they evacuated us to underneath the concrete concourse, said Gene and Arnold, who was at the game with his 11-year-old daughter. I have finished my reading. Thank you.